galaxy was silent. Only the echo of destroyed worlds floated between the stars. For years, the alien empire known as the Threx Dominion had crushed every race that resisted them. They were powerful, ancient, and cruel. When they turned their eyes toward Earth, most believed humanity's end had come. The first attack came without warning. Entire colonies on Mars and Titan vanished in blue fire. The communication lines went dark. Panic spread across every human world. Billions watched as fleets of alien warships surrounded the solar system. The Threx sent one message: surrender or be erased. But humanity didn't answer right away. Deep beneath the oceans and hidden in black space, something was being prepared, something powerful, something the Threx had never seen before. Captain Mara Voss stood on the command deck of the hidden station Erebus 9. Her eyes were cold but calm. Around her, engineers worked without rest. The secret fleet, humanity's final hope, was almost ready. Reports came in every hour, cities burning, ships destroyed, refugees fleeing to nowhere. The United Earth Command was silent to the public, but behind closed doors they had made a choice to fight until the last breath. And then something strange happened. The Threx war signals suddenly stopped. Their massive armada froze at the edge of the solar system, as if waiting for something. Mara looked up at the dark space beyond the viewport. "They think we're finished," she whispered. "Let them think that." Far beyond the moon's shadow, engines began to glow. Thousands of them. Humanity's fleet was awakening. Deep in the darkness of space, the secret fleet began to move. It had taken 10 long years to build, hidden from every alien scanner, powered by technology born from desperation and genius. They called it Project Horizon, a name whispered in secret by those who still believed humanity could rise again. Captain Mara Voss watched as the data screens lit up one by one. Massive ships, larger than any ever built before, came online. Their black armor reflected no light. They looked like shadows with engines. Each vessel carried weapons that had never been tested in real combat, weapons made from alien tech stolen during failed invasions. Beside her, Commander Harris broke the silence. "All systems green. Fleet status and operational." Mara nodded slowly. "Then it's time." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Threx Dominion was confident. Their leaders celebrated, believing Earth was already theirs. Their scouts reported only scattered resistance, nothing worth fearing. But then a strange signal appeared on their scanners, a pulse of unknown energy rising from the edge of the solar system. It was unlike anything they had seen before. In the Threx war chamber, panic whispered through the ranks. "What is this?" one demanded. "A weapon? A trap?" Back on Erebus 9, Mara gave the order. "All ships in Formation Alpha. Engage stealth drives. Begin the awakening." As the human fleet drifted into formation, thousands of lights flickered across the void. Ships moved like silent predators ready to strike. Mara stared at the stars. "They said humanity would fall," she said softly. They were wrong. In that moment, the universe changed. The hunters were about to meet the prey they never expected. The darkness of space exploded with light. The Threx armada had finally moved. Thousands of alien warships began their advance toward Earth, their blue engines cutting through the black void like fire. Their formation was perfect, cold, powerful, unstoppable, but they didn't know what waited for them. Hidden beyond the orbit of Neptune, the human fleet came alive. Engines roared to life. Hulls glowed with faint white energy. For the first time in history, humanity had a fleet strong enough to fight the stars themselves. Captain Mara Voss stood in the command seat of the Horizon's Edge, humanity's flagship. "Target the lead Threx cruiser," she ordered calmly. Commander Harris nodded. "All ships lock weapons. Fire on my mark." Silence fell for a heartbeat. Then, mark. A wave of blinding light tore across the void. The human fleet fired as one. Massive beams of plasma ripped through the enemy lines. The first Threx ship shattered like glass, their shields melting in seconds. The aliens screamed through their comms. They had never seen weapons like this. Human weapons that used their own stolen energy cores against them. Mara watched as explosions bloomed across the black sky. "They underestimated us," she said quietly. But the Threx weren't finished. From the shadows, their dreadnoughts emerged. Colossal war machines armed with energy cannons capable of splitting moons. The second wave had begun, "Brace for counterattack," Harris shouted. The ship shook violently as enemy fire slammed into the shields. Sparks flew across the bridge, still Mara didn't move. Her voice remained steady.
Hold the line.
Humanity doesn't run anymore. Outside, the stars burned with war. The battle raged across the darkness. Space itself seemed to burn. Human ships moved in tight formations, dodging enemy fire, striking back with perfect precision. But the Threx dreadnoughts were relentless. Their energy cannons tore through asteroid fields and shattered smaller ships in seconds. Captain Mara Voss gripped the command rail as alarms screamed around her. "Damage report. Deck 5 is gone," Commander Harris replied, his voice tense. "Shields at 40%. We can't hold this much longer." Mara looked out the viewport. All across the field, human ships were burning, but still fighting. No one was retreating. Every pilot, every engineer, every soldier knew what this battle meant. There was no Earth if they failed. "Send signal to all ships," Mara said quietly. "Code Dawn." The crew froze. "Are you sure, Captain?" "Yes," she answered. "It's time." Moments later, hidden compartments on dozens of human ships opened. Inside were the Nova cores, humanity's secret weapon, built from the same alien tech the Threx once used against them. These cores could bend gravity, create short wormholes, and unleash energy far beyond any known weapon. The Threx scanners went wild. "Impossible!" their commanders shouted. "They cannot possess such power." But it was already too late. Mara raised her hand. "Activate all Nova cores now." A blinding storm of light erupted across the battlefield. Space twisted. Threx ships vanished into collapsing voids. The entire enemy formation broke apart. For the first time in history, the unstoppable Threx were in retreat. Commander Harris stared at the viewscreen in disbelief. "They're falling back." Mara allowed herself a small smile. "No," she said softly. "They're running." And across the galaxy, word began to spread. Humanity had turned the tide. The galaxy held its breath. The Threx dominion, once feared across 1,000 worlds, was now cornered. But instead of surrender, they gathered their remaining strength. At the edge of a dying star, their last and greatest weapon waited, a fortress the size of a moon, known as the Abyssal Crown. Captain Mara Voss and the human fleet followed them there. The sky around the star burned red and gold, casting light across the wrecks of countless ships. Humanity's fleet was damaged, but their spirits were stronger than ever. Commander Harris looked at the readings. "Their fortress has a planetary shield. We can't break it with what we have left." Mara stared at the screen, calm but firm. "Then we use what they fear most, their own weapon." Inside the horizon's edge, engineers worked fast. They rerouted the Nova Core energy through the main reactor, turning the entire flagship into a weapon of impossible power. As the Threx prepared their final strike, Mara opened a channel to the fleet. "This is Captain Voss. You fought like no one in history. Today we end it. Not just for Earth, but for every world they ever destroyed. Humanity stands together. Humanity fights back!" The fleet roared in response. Engines ignited. Missiles streaked across the red sky. Then the horizon's edge dove straight toward the fortress. Enemy fire tore through its hull, but it didn't stop. The ship glowed white-hot, light bursting from every seam. "Now," Mara shouted. A silent flash consumed the battlefield. The fortress, the dreadnoughts, even the dying star, and all vanished into a brilliant storm of light. And when it faded, the Threx dominion was gone. Humanity had won. Silence returned to the stars. The war was over. The great Threx dominion, destroyer of worlds, ruler of galaxies, no longer existed. All that remained were pieces of burning metal drifting in endless space. The human fleet floated quietly among the wreckage. Many ships were gone. Many heroes would never return. But they had done the impossible. Humanity had survived. On the bridge of the horizon's edge, emergency lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. Captain Mara Voss sat in her command chair, her uniform torn, her hands shaking. Yet her eyes were calm. She had seen the storm and lived through it. Commander Harris approached, limping but smiling faintly. "It's over, Captain. The enemy is gone." Mara nodded slowly. "No," she whispered. "It's not over. It's just the beginning." Across the galaxy, alien worlds began to send messages, words of disbelief, then respect. Races that once feared the Threx now looked to Earth. Humanity, the species once called weak, had become a symbol of hope. News spread faster than light. Humans fought the impossible, and won. Children on distant colonies whispered stories of brave pilots and glowing ships. Entire worlds celebrated under the same stars. Mara stood at the viewport, watching the sun rise over the ruins of the battlefield. They said humanity would fall, she said softly. But we didn't, we rose. A single beacon light blinked on the ship's console, the signal of a new alliance forming. The age of fear had ended. The age of humanity had begun,